Hi, welcome to another week of Computer Foundations. You can see I have our calendar or our agenda up today, and I'm just going over what you are going to be working on this week. So you can tell we're going to work on ciphers and cryptography. All week long, you're going to work on project 1.1.7. It's ciphers and early cryptography. It will be due on Friday. And I will probably be making 2 videos again this week and putting them in the calendar so that you can follow along. I will highly, highly encourage you. Please watch the videos because I go over stuff and what you need to do. So this will help you. And if you have not turned anything in yet, or you're late from last week, turn it in as soon as possible so that you don't lose many points. But following the video or asking questions is how you can get help and you can pass this class successfully. So on to the next thing. We've got, this is what we're doing this week for 1.1.7, and let's go over to Project Lead the Way. When you get into Project Lead the Way, this was 1.1.6, we finished that out. And now we're going to do a project. 1.1.7 is a project. You're not just doing reading and snippets and answering questions. You're actually doing a project. So we're going to explore the history of cryptography, identify types of encryption, and create an encrypted message. So, digging right in here. Unique patterns called ciphers can be used to create encoded messages that allow information to be sent without fear of the message being read by unintended recipients. Using ciphers to encrypt information is known as cryptography. Only the intended recipients have the tools to decode an encrypted message. The discipline of cryptography is thousands of years old. Clear back like when Egyptians were building the pyramids and a time period when they were trying to protect information, they did it in cryptography so that other people couldn't get their information and steal their secrets. So you can see here it says encryption algorithm is used to turn plain text into ciphertext. That way one recipient can read it from the other, but other people that look at it won't know what it means. It reverses the process then to restore the cipher text to plain text. So you take a message you want to give and then you scramble it all up by some encryption method. You send it to the other person. If the other person knows the key, knows how to take it apart, then they put it back together to plain text, okay? So that's the idea. Here's the history of cryptography. To investigate the history of cryptography, review the 25 slides in the Cryptography Over Time presentation in this activity. You explore some of these types of ciphers in more detail. So you'll notice, okay, here's slide 1. It started in 500 BC and it's gone clear up to 2025 today. This is something called a skytail. It was used as like a way to move the letters so that you could use it as a way to encrypt messages. It says the Spartans, clear back in 4A to 404 BC, used this. This wasn't paper, this was actually leather wrapped around a wooden staff to write messages. They would remove the leather strip and the message could not be read until it was wrapped around the same staff again. So it was a way for them to keep it private. This is a Caesar cipher. This was during Julius Caesar's time, 50 to 1 BC. This Caesar cipher was used with a letter substitution. So A became D and B became E. So it was like a 4-letter shift. And every letter in your message would shift over 4 letters, and then you'd write it and it would look all scrambly, but then when you get it back and you scramble it over 4 letters back, then you could decipher it. This is the invisible milk, plant milk. They would write it and it would be invisible, and then when they'd get it somewhere and it'd dry, then you could see the message. So it said, yeah, dried clear, and then if you put coal dust on it, then you could read it again. Pretty tricky. This is the letter substitution. And they had like scrambled the whole alphabet up in different letters, and then they would write it with this code, and then when they would bring it back, somebody would decipher it using this key. Philosophical writings on encryption. So from 1300 to 1400 AD, an English philosopher named Francis Bacon wrote about forms of encryption such as substitution using other languages and other methods. He was philosophizing about it. This is a cipher disk. So what you do is these rings, you could like line them up so that if you were trying to say A, you would use like, if it was lined up just so, you would say A is R, B is S, C is T. You would do that to know which letters to use. And it depends how you spun it to get it to fit. Throughout the code, the rings would change position, even adding more complexity. Here is hieroglyphics. They used encryption with symbols, and you'd have to know what the symbols meant to be able to decode it. Here is letter frequency. Muslim scholars used letter frequency to break ciphers, knowing that certain letters were used more often than others. So they would count the frequency of a symbol or letter and deduce which letter the symbol represented. Look at that. Same today. E is one of the most used letters in our communication. This is a homophone substitution. Italians began substituting homophone words that have the same pronunciation but different meanings, as in C and C. Okay, so 1, 2 meat, hat, 4, 10 blue sweet. Want to meet at 4 in blue sweet. Tricky. They did that by switching out homophones. Pig Latin. Aaron K. Urshi Hay. What they do is they speak a form of speaking that has been documented in use around this time. While its origin could go back further. If someone knows the pattern for rearrangement of the sound, they can understand what the person is saying. If my name is Aaron K. Urshi Hay, it's because Karen, I used Aaron K. That's my first letter. And Urshi Hay is Hershey, but it's Urshi, and my first letter is H. So you put it like hey, K, bay, day. You say whatever that letter is with D, with that letter and an A behind it. That's Pig Latin. Keywords and phrases. They have keyword codes. You can see on the left it says keyword B, C, F, G, I, J, K, and then here's their letters that it interprets to. Vigenère ciphers. The Vigenère cipher is a square form of the Caesar cipher that contains rows of the alphabet shifted by one letter. So a keyword would be used to determine how to use the square of letters to encode and decode the message. So if you wanted to use the letters on the left but shifted over however many letters, then that would be what the letter would be. Easy to look at. This is the Grill cipher. The actual message was Mary. Ever since that foul argument, I cannot stop thinking. Please accept my apology. Yours, Mark. They used grill ciphers, grids with holes or blocks missing. The coder placed a grill over a piece of paper and wrote the message in the open blocks. They would then remove the grill and fill in other unimportant words on the page. A decoder would place the same grill pattern over the page to reveal the actual words of the message. Oh, like cutouts. And that's the message. That's cool. Numbers instead of letters. Okay, they had numbers that represented all the letters in the alphabet, and they would just write a message in numbers. This was done 1600 to 1700 AD. That's pretty sophisticated. And then pigpen ciphers. Freemasons used pigpen ciphers, which used shapes and dots to represent letters. You would have to know what the letters were that represented each of those. But you can see if you coded something like that, you'd have no idea what it is. And literary codes, they would mark using books where they were in high circulation, such as a dictionary. Numbers were used to identify a specific word. Encoders would specify a page number, paragraph number, and word number in the paragraph. A person decoding the message would need to have the book and then use the numbers to determine the specific words. If any of you have watched Harry Potter, they did some of that, and you'd have to go to the library and find the book and then look at the key and then find out what the message was. Common practice. Wheel cipher. I've seen one of these. These are really cool. From 1750 to 1850 AD, Thomas Jefferson developed the wheel cipher that had a series of discs with different letters. The discs could be removed, rearranged, and rotated once on an axle. The discs had to be aligned correctly to decode the message encoded with the wheel cipher. So it had a set of letters, and when you spin all of that, you'd get it, and then you could decode according to that. It's like it would unlock it. So, Morse code, that's like dots and dashes. Does anybody know what 3 dots, dot, 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 and 3 dashes, dash, dash, dash stands for? It stands for SOS. That was very popular during some of the early world wars. Playfair cipher, here's another kind. And you can see they would pair letters in a single substitution letter. A grid was used to help identify the substitutions. Numbers from word lists, that's another way. You can read through that. Radio Morse code, that's when they'd go beep, 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 beep. And what it was, somebody at the other end would be decoding it, and they'd memorized it. The Enigma, this is the Alan Turing device. Enigma was used during World War II to pass messages from Japan or from Germany, sorry, not from Japan, from Germany. Hitler was using it. And Alan Turing developed a computer that could decode his messages. This was the Enigma machine that could do that. It was really fun. If you get a chance, you can read or you can watch that movie. It's called, I think I have it right here. Thought I did. Must have put it in my cabinet on the other side. I don't think it was called Enigma. What was it called? Something with coding. But it was about the how he decoded the messages for World War II. It's a good movie. Okay, there's computers, and now we do that encryption all the time. That's how we send messages and keep people's information safe. And here's some different computer advancements. Advancements in physics are used to increase the abilities of a computer